October 1st is also Thursday and our weekly Unity Forum. This is the day each week that we dedicate to checking in with our community members, staff, families. We haven't had families on for a while. Maybe we should change that. When we originally began doing this at the beginning of this terrible pandemic, the idea was that as we all retreated to our virtual sort of spaces, it was just so important to me that we found a way to remain connected and to hear from people how they were doing, what kinds of challenges they were facing, so that we remembered that we are part of something larger than ourselves. This has always been a core principle, one of our core values: unity, collaboration, community. These things are important characteristics, important 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 part of who we are as an organization, and the good work that we do when we communicate, when we understand what's going on, when we're connected. We've got a single purpose. We know what our standards are, and we appreciate the expectations that we have for one another and for ourselves. I am really excited about today and our Unity Forum panelists that are joining us today. We are going to hear from two professionals who we ought to have probably heard from by now. This is Michelle Bellevue and Doreen Mumper, who are the residential directors that oversee our intricate residential network. And so we're going to be talking to them, and then we're going to be rounding it out with Kevin Tucker, who's our director of IT, and we will finish up with him. So without wasting even a second more time, we are going to talk about Michelle Bellevue. And most people probably know Michelle because she's been no stranger to the public eye of late. You know, when somebody's talented and good and invested, they are tapped frequently for various opportunities to help support the organization. This was taken from our Unity Forum, taken from our annual celebration in 2017. This is when it was held at the Tewksbury Country Club. Michelle was there to represent or speak about the amazing program that is Salem Street and the special staff that work there. Michelle has, and also these are some pictures you could see of her. She did a spectacular job that night, and I know it wasn't easy because Michelle is not, you know, like many of us, not the type of person that necessarily wants to be fighting for the spotlight. As I continue to say nice things about Michelle, I've Greg bring her up so I can see her embarrassed face when I'm saying these things. There she is. Hi, Michelle. Did you hear me just now say that you're always fighting for the spotlight? You're always trying to jockey and push your way into the public eye.
I love those pictures, Dan.
You look gorgeous, so why not? Why not love them? So you've been here since May 29th of 2007. That's 13 long years. You have been, oh my gosh, just working in just about every one of our residential programs at one time or another. You are known for your kind of no nonsense, you know, sort of, you know, you just attack the problems, you don't make a lot of noise, you just like get it done. You know, you're very good with systems, with all of those, you know, layers of quality assurance, and of course for your public speaking skills. The programs that you've represented, that you've led, have been for the most part very stable programs, and you deal with some very difficult and complex issues, especially when you consider the medical needs of the people at Salem Street. You have also been very involved with our Walk the Walk. This is what I say when you find somebody that's successful. It's funny, but you know, you find that they do fundraising, and they're also involved with other things, and they've also been with this a long time. And this is true of you as well. You've been a part of Club 50 for every year since 2016, and you have raised, do you have any idea how much you've raised?
No, not off the top of my head.
500 since 2016. That's so much money, Michelle.
Cool.
That's really good. And if you're the, oh, that was Doreen. Doreen had raised already 4,000 this year. I'll say it again when she comes on. But even in this crazy pandemic year, um, we of course know Brandon because your son has worked here and was a beloved member of our landscaping crew, and just so involved with so many of the groups. I think you had a chance to see him maybe in a different light, not just a proud mother, but just seeing him as his own man and his own, sort of establishing his own relationships. And I remember you sharing some of your feelings. You worked very hard to make sure that he had a great education, and I know he's done you proud in so many ways. But we feel like, you know, when you've been together, when you've been working together for so long, and to good times and bad times, you really do start to feel like you're part of a family. And I know that you've got older parents. How are they doing? And early on, your father was convinced somebody in the house was going to get COVID, and he was getting ready to build a plexiglass wall and all these other things every day. How have things been at home, and how have your parents been doing, and everybody else?
Right. Yes, my father did build a wall at the house to keep everyone safe. So thankfully, everyone was COVID free. And we did grow up. Brandon was in kindergarten when I started here, so we have been part of the family, growing up. Mom has a lot of health issues, so we're struggling right now, but with the support of NuPath, we're going to get through it. I have a great team. I have a wonderful residential support system, just everywhere. So it's been tough. It's been a long struggle for everybody, but we've been here through and through, and we'll continue to do it till it's over.
Thank you for your optimism and for your determination. People that don't know me from back then, I was a different person back then. I wasn't all twisted. I haven't been in the job that so long that it affected me that as much. But I worked residential. In fact, I started out at NewPath working residential, and when I was COO for 10 years of this organization, I was so much more involved in the programs, and I'd be there visiting. I kept the staff meetings. I still know many of the staff. I miss those days. But you've heard me say it time and time again. In fact, I probably sound like a broken record, that residential team has a unique and distinctively challenging job. Many people's jobs are tough. But the nature of residential being a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year animal makes it the kind of job that you never really feel that that you're really off the clock, because life happens. And when COVID hit, it just felt like it was like the triple or quadruple or quintuple whammy of the century, because not only is residential often, sort of stuck with dealing with, not stuck, but like you guys are the ones that, during a blizzard or hurricane, everybody else is home because the governor declares a state of emergency. Your staff have to come in. Your managers have to remain on call. They have to respond to emergencies as they happen. Family members have questions or complaints. And then COVID hit. Everybody at home. Talk to me about how you went about sort of recalibrating your understanding of what it was you were trying to do. I mean, could you even go into the programs anymore, or did you just automatically kind of fall into a virtual sort of position? And how did your teams make this adjustment?
Right. There was no change for Doreen and I, or our managers. Life had to go on. We were there when our individuals were tested, our staff. I remember the first round of pop-ups when they went to Salem Street, and they tested the individuals. I was there. I held their hands. I was with the staff, with my feathers out, clucking for, being scared for the swabs. And, we are one, and they have to see that we are there for them. And I was there for the test. And, that's what we're about. That's what makes us one NuPath. And we've been through it systematically as we've gone through, and you know, the positive tests and the negative results, and you know, we've been in the homes and supporting the staff through this all. You know, it's been difficult. It's been a long struggle, but you know, thankfully we were on a downward spiral, but the numbers are coming up again, and we're going to continue to use our precautions. We do everything correctly. We're going to continue to do that to keep everybody safe. We're going to wear our masks, our gloves. We're going to continue to clean and keep everybody safe the best we can. And hopefully we're going to stabilize and keep everybody safe and healthy.
Oh, there's so many things I want to say to you. First, I want to say before I forget, what you said just a moment ago about wanting to be there when people got tested, wanting to be there for the staff. I don't think you said it, but sort of setting an example. I think that we've seen evidence of your influence even on the Unity forums, because we've had Bessie come in to talk to us. I think the first time she came, she shared with us about, maybe it was only the one time, but how she did Easter dinner for those guys. And you know, Salem Street is such a special program, but how the families were saying, I had no idea, you know, holiday celebration could be this nice and this you know, nurturing and this much of a family environment. And indeed, we know that you've lost people from that program who you were their family in the final days. And I think that that attitude, as you tell it to us, you know, you explain what your job is reflected in many of your staff. You know, certainly through Bessie, who's on Easter is there, you know, at the house cooking, and I think that's easier to do when their boss is, you know, showing up and doing those sorts of things as well. You've you know, how many programs do you oversee?
Well, I do shared living, independent supports, and then I have 6 of the residential homes.
Residential homes. That is just a lot of people and a lot of property to keep track of. And then on top of it all, for you and Doreen, your boss, former boss, Karen Sullivan, who has been a, you know, a long time and dedicated servant of this organization. I miss her. I miss seeing her. But she's been out for, I think it's been a year or almost a year anyway, due to a back issue, and she's affected. I think she maybe had surgery just recently, like maybe it was even yesterday or something, in my mind, if I have it correct. So that required a major sort of adjustment, because we didn't fill that position, obviously, because, you know, Karen's still in the position. And so you and Doreen have had to really function in a whole new kind of autonomous role, reporting directly to Dan Lannon. What was that? What's that been like for you? Was it a big adjustment, or did you, like everything else, just sort of, you know, assume the mantle of responsibility because that's what was asked of you?
We just kind of did what we had to do. You know, we do miss Karen, obviously, and we want her to get well. But we had to do what we have to do. I mean, we have people that we have to take care of and support. And, you know, Dean's a great supervisor as well. We have a great team. He is. Yeah, he is. We've learned a lot from him. So, you know, it's different. You know, everybody has a different style. But I think Doreen and I both agree that, you know, it's been a great learning experience. But yeah, I think that we just kind of stepped up and did what we had to do. I mean, that's what our role is as residential directors.
You are somebody that talks about team always. There's hardly a time that you're not talking about something where you don't give credit to your team. And I think you and Doreen make a really excellent team. You're very different people. You have different styles altogether, but in a way, I feel like it's a really nice and natural sort of complement to one another in some ways. So that's been part of the magic of how you, because in residential you've got to pull, you got to move people around, you've got to it's so fluid, you've got to be thinking constantly, and in a million different ways. And you make it look so easy, because it is not that easy. But you've done this business a long time, because before this you were working for Elliott, weren't you? Didn't at Sunny Knoll? Yeah. So
Yeah, you know, I used to take Brandon in his little carrier to business meetings. That's why he's so accustomed to the field. He's not a,
I should let you use the last couple of minutes to brag on him because he's turned out pretty well. I mean, he's
oh,
not
don't be tooting his horn.
I mean, he's a towering figure now, isn't he? And he's in, what is he in his, did he finish his first year of college or what's he?
He did, but now he's a fisherman when he can keep the boat out of water and not under.
The boat he was in sank in off the up in where was it off of Nahant?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was another
safe,
one.
most importantly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he certainly has had a great role model and probably a different kind of an understanding and an appreciation and respect for people with disabilities that he might never have had he not, you know, been exposed to it at an early age because of you. How are the staff doing? Are they going to manage? Are they going to make it?
I do believe so. We have a strong group of people that work for us. They are phenomenal. We couldn't ask for a better team. Yeah.
No.
And I hope they all know it. I tell them as much as I can. So
I hope that team is watching today, and I hope that they're all applauding. And by the way, I sometimes forget that if you're watching this on your phones, you can see the hearts. Is this the one that the hearts come up on, or
on the phone, because I'm always banging the hats.
No, I want to make sure that these amazing people, Michelle and Doreen, get like 1,500 hearts. Like, we gotta get those hearts for them. Michelle, I could talk on and on and on, but you know I appreciate you very much as a person, as a colleague. I've got enormous respect for you. You've been so such a dedicated and consistent force. Even when you're calling me asking me about Grey Goose.
I thought I was getting through the whole thing without that, Dan.
I couldn't let you. So the story is real quick. I would tell it. You called my number. Did you butt dial me or call me by accident?
By accident.
And you were talking about how, oh, you texted me. You texted me. That's what it was. You said, don't forget to bring the great. Oh no, we have Grey Goose here. You said you were up at your summer home up in New Hampshire, and I've just never forgotten it. I mean, at least you've got good taste in vodka. You know, it wasn't Channel One, but you know, I mean, it was pretty. Well, thank you so much for everything you do for us, for the leadership role that you play in our residential programs. I mean, I could not be here in my office trying to figure out how we keep this you know, liner afloat without you guys just doing the hard work day after day. That's the stuff that really matters to families, and that's where it really shows, you know, the kind of commitment and the united front that you guys have. So we're so lucky to have you. Thank you for being part of this. It wasn't so bad, was it?
No. Thank you. We appreciate you, and I love NuPath, so it makes it easy.
Well, thank you for being here, and keep up the great work. Okay.
Thank you. Always.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, you know, they say that when you step out of yourself and you express gratitude to another person, you express appreciation for what you have in your life, that it has this it can have a profound impact on the human spirit. And it occurred to me, you know, some weeks ago that as I was concluding one of these, I said, you know, I feel better. Maybe I wasn't even feeling that great when I went into the interview, but just talking to the wonderful panelists that we've had, and I need to go through my records, and I want to count up how many people we've actually featured since this whole thing started back in March, because we've heard from a lot of people, and we couldn't do these things if people weren't willing, first of all, to come on and talk. And if nobody was watching, we wouldn't have any reason to do it. So it goes all around. All right, next up is another extraordinarily special person, colleague and friend, Doreen Mumper, the other residential director. These are some pictures taken at various events. You see her featured there you see her bottom left with Michelle, her husband Roger, with a lei around his neck. That was at one of our Club 50 parties, and her oldest son Roger, who is featured from the pool up there, and her getting a medal, probably it looks like a second place medal. Doreen is another person who has not been a wallflower since she began at NuPath on December 29th, 2010, coming up on our 10-year anniversary. There you are, Doreen.
Hi, Dan.
How did it take us so long to get you into that seat? Is the question that I have for myself.
I guess we were just busy. I don't know.
Every
But
time I
not
thought,
busier than anybody else. I don't know, Dan.
every time I thought to like try to figure out a way to have you come in, there was like some other catastrophic emergency going on, or dealing
It's
with
fine.
vacancies in your managers. Doreen, I remember, Dave, pouring rain when you came over to Newpath, and I believe I drove you in my car, and we went and looked at some residential programs together.
Mhm.
And we had you start originally. I've been trying to get you to come and work for us, for me, for years, I believe. And
I
you,
believe about 8. Yeah.
once your kids were all in high school, was it high
Old
school?
enough, I told you. Yeah. Daniel was 14. Yeah.
You might consider it, because you'd been working for a nursing home. You were the activities director there. It was I knew you were underemployed. I knew you could do so much more, and I think you had a little bit of this self-doubt that so many of us have. I think people that have even an ounce of humility often also feel this doubt in themselves, and you were 100% sure that this was something that you were going to be able to do, even though you've been exposed, you and I met through your husband, and
Mhm.
your husband and I worked together in 1988, through 2000 and maybe 1 or 2000 or something. So that's how I got to know you. But I also knew what kind of a worker you were, how driven you were, how relentless you were in attacking details. I knew the families would love you. But do you remember how the former CEO, um, we were trying to get you into we wanted to get you into a manager position at Bradley Road, was that it? And
Yeah.
and it was right around Christmas.
Christmas. It was the Christmas party.
I
Yeah.
went to Indiana for my family, and while I was away, Sherry saw you up, or you had a Christmas party for the family up at Bradley Road, and that's when she announced to people that you were the new manager there. Is that how that
She
happened?
found me, remember?
Found you, yeah. So I let her take the credit for that, but we were just so happy that we finally got you into that role. You
Yeah.
ran Bradley Road for a while, and then what did you do next? Because it's hard to imagine you not in charge of road.
So I did Bradley Road for a little under a year, and then there was no manager at Arlington Road, so I oversaw Arlington and Bradley. And then my former supervisor left, so then I became the associate director, and then I became the residential director. So
The families all know you, for sure.
thank you.
What families say to me, and you probably to you too, that when you're there, they're not the least bit worried. If you
Well,
are, if you're there for mealtime, if you're there to supervise and follow through with requests, that it happens. And so the battle has really been, helping you train and mentor your team so that they're able to kind of hold the line on what your expectations are, because you certainly
Mhm.
have high expectations. Now, you've been, as I said, you're coming up on your 10th year anniversary.
I know.
That is a shock to everything, Holy. I
It's
mean,
been an honor for the last years to support the people of Newpath.
well, I know that we've been happy to have you. Now, you have raised, wait, this is going to be an error, because it says $11,000 since 2015. $11,000. That is
Wow.
ridiculous how much you raised. And you're the one that's raised $4,000 this year, even though the world disintegrated in front of our very eyes. So
But you know what, Dan? I support a lot of wonderful parents and a lot of wonderful people, and the parents have just been so gracious in donating to me that it's been easy this year.
Now, you heard me talking to Michelle. You have got, where Michelle has got a couple of our more medical programs. You are not the only, but like the autism queen. Like you run, you oversee a lot of the autism programs. And anybody who's not familiar with our residential programs and the kind of makeup of the programs, the autism homes are a different animal. And I say that, you know, metaphorically, but you know, from a regular, more traditional DD or ID house. What, you know, before COVID, we know that this is a community that really thrives on lots of physical activity, lots of moving around, and suddenly we're all shut in at home. What was life like for you during those early days when the pandemic first hit? How did you go about sort of figuring things out residentially?
Well, it was funny because Michelle and I were saying, like, eventually this will become our new normal. So we just had to create a new normal for the people that we support. You know, it was coming up with different activities for them, you know, like community walks and, you know, cookouts in the backyard and, you know, just trying to be creative and keeping the structure because, you know, we all know that, you know, people with autism spectrum disorder just really, they like structure. They thrive on structure. Keeping structure, keeping order, but keeping people happy, but also keeping everybody safe because we didn't want to be somewhere where there was, you know, 20 other people. And so it was a very creative team. I have worked with the most wonderful group of people. Michelle and I have wonderful teams. I cannot thank the managers and the direct care teams enough for everything they've done. I've even had, you know, some of our direct support staff saying, why don't we do this and why don't we hike this mountain and let's go to, you know, Winnicott Castle, there's nobody there. And, you know, everyone has just really, they want to keep themselves safe. Obviously, we want to keep the people we support safe. And, you know, I know it's so hard for the parents when they couldn't be there. And I will say that navigating life was a true lifesaver because our parents every day could see that their children were still happy. They were well fed, they were smiling, they were dressed well, that, you know, I know as NuPath being a forefront and a leader and, you know, a visionary, that the navigating life was a true lifesaver for the families of the people that we support because they could see every day that their child was still safe and happy. So that was just amazing.
I'm going to go a little off script here, and this is, you know, if you don't have an answer for this, that's fine. But what's it been like keeping people occupied during the day? Right now, we're facing a serious financial crisis because of the fact that we are far below what our capacity would typically be at our day programs, right? And one of the problems, in some cases, is transportation. In other cases, it's parents, you know, that can't, then that's even related to transportation. But there's another phenomenon that's starting to emerge of residential agencies, and there's some around that all they do is residential. They don't even have day services. You know, there are people come to different programs. Those residential agencies are keeping people home because they feel that they're safer if they're free from COVID than having, you know, maybe the 5 people split up and go to 3 different day programs during the day and then all coming back. They don't know what's going on. What do you think the likelihood of that continuing for any long length of time, really keeping people structured, and do you think that's possible, or do you think that that's gonna lose some of its you know, some of its appeal at some point, and we'll be able to get some of these people back? What do you think?
Well, I think that the people that live in a NuPath home, we do have the Zoom classes. You know, we have the Zoom stretch. We have a lot of Zoom classes still, so that keeps them busy instruction. I just don't know, like you said, financially, how much longer we can keep doing all these things unfunded. So I think that DDS might need to look at like helping to fund some of the Zoom classes more, maybe. And we know we have some people for health concerns that they're not going back to day program. Most of the people that I support go to NuPath day programs, so that's been very good for us. I have a few that don't. I've been in talk, you know, with leadership about, you know, will we allow them to go back? And the answer was yes, because obviously we would want people to allow their individuals to go back to our day program. So I just think as the numbers increase, we're just going to have to be diligent, take temperatures, wear our masks, hand washing. I will say that I do think people's personal grooming skills with the teams being so diligent about hand washing, and this is, the residential staff and day staff, like you said, I do support 9 of the homes that I support are autism homes. So we've been fortunate because their day team staff have been working in the homes with them, and they've been working on the hand washing skills and all that sort of stuff. So like that has increased for the people that we support. It's a difficult question, Dan.
It sure is. You are, we just finished, and I meant to ask Karen Franklin whether or not we'd gotten those final 12 people tested, but this is another big mandate that hits the residential team. It probably will be all staff, within a very short period of time. But not only did the residential team have to really, be the first responders, if you will, to our population, and as they were getting sick and being quarantined over here at the care center and all of that, but we had something like 4 to 6 weeks or something to test let's call it 400 people or so. Now we're in this high, this spread, this region of, I'm trying to remember of it, but it's a region that's got higher spread. We're gonna have to get all those same people that just got tested again every 2 weeks. There's been plans, all kinds of things being talked about. Are we going to be able to do that? What is it? Have you been just running around like screaming at the top of your lungs, like get tested, or has it been easier than that?
You have all different team members. You have some that waited to the last hour, and I literally said to them, don't do this again, please. Like, we need to get tested right away. We had a strategic meeting this morning. It was, HR and Sharon and Matt and Michelle, myself, Karen and Anna, about how we were going to facilitate all this. We have a plan in place that we're going to start implementing on Monday. We're just going to, run it by Dan Lannon and, Ted. And but I think we're going to be able to do it. Newpath does really well under pressure, and we strive for deadlines, and we do our best to meet every deadline that's ever given to us. And I think we're going to be able to do it. I just think that as a team, the managers are going to have to be very involved in, making sure that they are on their teams and that their teams go. And I think we're going to be able to do it. I think it's going to be a lot, but I think we're going to be able to do it.
We talk about that Plato quote that which is, valued in the country will be cultivated there. And we talk about that as how it pertains to our organization. And so I was thinking to myself, and I talked to Brett about this on Monday. We're going to start to demonstrate how much we value staff getting tested and responding quickly. And I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but I think I'm going to pull the first 100 names of people the first 100 people that got tested. And we're going to be doing some sort of a regular, I don't know if it's a drawing or give each of those people something that can show our appreciation, because it needs to be the kind of thing where the word comes out, boom, people, their tires are squealing on the pulling out to get tested. And we're going to do whatever we can to make it easy for people. But this is such a time of grave demands on our organizations and upon our staff. We just do not have the time to run around grown adults begging and pleading and reminding them they have to get tested. This has got to become a thing that we're enculturated to, and we understand that when the word comes from Doreen Mumper that you need to get tested, that there's not hardly a pause, that staff get and understand why it's so important, because that's energy that could be so much better spent doing something else, whether it's supporting one of our clients or families or that sort of thing. It's do you think it's just that people they just are procrastinators? Is that what it is? Or that do you think you have people that are really pushing back? They don't think it's important to get tested, or they're afraid of it? Or
I think it was just a couple of handfuls of people that just they just didn't go, and I don't know why. I just, yeah, I know there were 2 people that did not make the deadline, and they can't work until they get tested. So and they work in the residential homes. They weren't the residential network, but they working in the residential homes. But those people know, and hopefully they got tested today. So hopefully in a day or 2 we have their results back, and they can be back by Monday. So and maybe now that they know it's serious, everybody else will take it serious as well.
It's not just us, it's other organizations across the
Oh, I
country.
understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I think as an agency, we did better than most. I think, the HR team worked tirelessly. We have a great group of people that work and support NuPath. And, Sharon and her team, Sharon's coming up with a great plan, and I think we're going to be able to do it.
We talked a moment ago with Michelle about Brandon being, an employee of NuPath, but you've even got more of that sort of claim to fame or I don't know, sense of motherly pride, because your son Roger works for us, and he's
Yes.
pushing 10 years. Is he? He's got to be.
He's already made his 10-year last month.
And he's been a member of Club 50 every year that we've had it. I used to joke with you about how I met you through your husband, and I worked with your husband for probably 10 years, 10 years of my life. And then I got you to come to work for NuPath. Then Roger came first, and then you. And we even had your son William. There's only one Mumper kid that has not, or one Mumper person, family member from your family that hasn't worked for me at some point over time.
Hey, you work on him. How's that?
Well, you certainly it just exemplify for so many this almost just this dogged just determination to please, to attend to the family's needs. You as a mother, and Michelle too, but you understand why families feel the way they feel, that you don't always like to get the calls, but I think there's something about you that speaks to the families, that tells them that this woman understands me, and she and even if you can't fix it necessarily, or even if it's something that they're disappointed about, sometimes just having somebody just listening and nodding your head every once in a while can be a critical thing. I knew you were going to be superb for NuPath, and there was no question, even though you doubted yourself, and even though that it took you a little time to kind of earn your street cred or whatever you want to say here, but you are known far and wide throughout this organization and families for being, a very highly motivated and a very deeply involved person. You're not one of these types that, sits on the sidelines. You serve on the providers committee. I don't know how many other committees you're on. You really are a treasure, and with Karen out for her disability, I don't know what we would do without you. I really don't, and I'm sure many of the families that are watching right now feel the same way. Yeah, so thank you,
Thank you, Dan.
everything you've done, and I know that you'll let me know if there's anything more that we can be doing. If people are giving you a hard time about getting tested, then don't give up on it. We got to keep pushing it, because we can do anything once, maybe twice, but if it's something that's going to be repeated regularly, it could go on for months. We don't know. And so people better just get used to it, and get a system that they can use to remember, and not make it difficult for you, because you've got enough on your plate already.
Hey, Dan, we got this.
We sure do, Doreen. We got this. Well, Doreen Mumper, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for having us.
And you're terrific. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to get all those people, when you get home, watch it on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
Ready. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You too. Is it me, or am I talking too much, or is the time going by faster? I've got to keep an eye on the time because I think I'm talking to people too long. Okay, our third and final panelist today is Kevin Tucker. Kevin is the manager of our IT. He does things every day that I don't even know how to pronounce. We'd be in big trouble if we, especially now with the pandemic and everybody going virtually. This Sunday is actually will be Kevin's 3rd year anniversary with NuPath. So he has not been here quite as long as some of the others, but certainly 3 years is pretty sure now if it's that he'll maybe stick around if he got through the first 3 years, and we hope he stays for a very, very long time. We put together a few pictures to kind of show that Kevin's a big supporter, and he's well known for his willingness to dance like nobody's watching. I guess is the expression. Is trying to get it right. A lot of fun to watch you dance, Kevin. And you have raised $4,500 since 2018. Been part of Club 50 for every year that you've been a part of this organization. There he is. So would you say this is a fair representation of you at literally any party that you go to?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
I love it when people participate in different kinds of ways. I love it when people bring family members to events, to the walk, to holiday parties. We've gotten to know your family, and you've been just in the short time that you've been with us, it's 3 years. You've become a feature around here because of course you've got your Taco Tuesdays, which are a great fundraiser for the walk the walk, and it's become sort of a household name. And but what I was saying a minute ago was when people bring loved ones to events and share the NuPath experience with them, I just feel like it's good for the family members to have a way to visualize, understand it, and it's good for our overall ethos, or what am I trying to say? The energy that we have as an organization, because people look to you and see, yeah, you're an IT wizard and you do all these things, but you can also have a good time. Is something that I think it makes people connect with you. We asked you to come on today because you were being essentially in charge of our IT, sort of strategic thinking and planning during the COVID pandemic has had to have put a real. Well, let me ask you this. If you were giving a grade to NuPath before the pandemic for our readiness to deal with the pandemic, with everything had to be virtual, what grade would you say that we would have? This is, having cameras in the houses, and, part of the monitors. And
Well, I don't want to give them a grade. I don't want to give NuPath a grade, but I would say that there was a scramble because the world changed overnight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say what, a solid D plus maybe, or C.
Yeah,
Right. Well, and we're not alone in that, and that's not really a critique of the staff there. I put that on my shoulders because, in fact, before the pandemic hit, we were talking at the end of last year, and if you remember, a lot of my, well, it seems so quaint, so long ago, but I was talking about 2020 being the 4th industrial revolution, and all of these amazing advancements, and that part hasn't been wrong. It's just I didn't know they were all going to be for the pandemic of the century.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was thinking about that. But I had said to my team that one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to apply more serious thinking and planning and training around how do we become most fluent in the digital era, with virtual meetings. Occasionally we have somebody wanting to connect virtually, and we can figure out, but it was less than ideal, and it was nothing. I don't think we were ever motivated to get probably into the homes and really kind of see, okay, this monitor is ancient. This doesn't even have a camera. I mean, you found some pretty, terrifying things, didn't you? Like, I mean, not terrifying, but
Yeah, I mean, things, it's the whole world of technology changed for the company. We went from, everybody, mostly staff doing their computing and, once in a while individuals, and then all of a sudden we depended on it. At the same time, everybody else in the world did too.
Yeah.
Trying to get cameras was, took weeks trying to get microphones and speakers and anything that had to do with online meetings got scarce really fast. And then, trying to deploy them as quickly as we could, especially I think we did a great job. I think NewPath had an amazing ramp up in a short period of time that I hadn't seen in any job I've ever been in. Nobody saw this coming, and I think they did a great job getting it going. And people were patient and cooperative, and there were a lot of great ideas, and people had solutions. Not only me, but the most of the staff had great solutions, and I think we did a good job getting all those the daily programming up, and they did a fantastic job. So.
What would you say that, and that's very nice of you, by the way. You're another person that always is very lavish with your praise of others, and with the larger community, giving credit to the team. But I know it romanticizes it just a teensy bit, doesn't it? Because it's doing what you do is not easy in any time of year or time of pandemic, breakouts, or just even under normal circumstances. Residential is such a tough nut to crack because it's people are spread out in so many different locations, and because the sites are smaller, it seems like more things go wrong. Well, there's not the level of supervision that maybe is what I'm trying to say in the houses as there maybe would be here. If at least before, when we had didn't have the social distancing restrictions, but it's to think that when you have so many staff coming, we expect a lot of our program managers. We expect them to be nutritionists, to be medical people, to understand facilities, to be adept in communications and computers, to know how to fix minor projects. I mean, there are very few of us that are that sort of well versed in many things. And I think that in human services, it's not surprising to find people that maybe for them communication or technology is more of it could scare some people to get new technology, but how has the reception been for people that as they, from your point of view, using some of the upgraded equipment, and have you seen a real sort of willingness to kind of lean into this and embrace it, or have you had people kind of?
Yeah, I think most people are a little afraid of change, and so that's the biggest obstacle to overcome. So before, when you could sit in your office at night and do your paperwork and whatever, it was fine, and then all of a sudden, now you're on. So there are still people that are, I wouldn't say reluctant, but a little afraid,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting better, and everybody's getting better at it, leaps and bounds.
And you've had to do this all pretty much remotely, haven't you? Like, how how would you install a new camera? Do you go leave it outside the front door and then walk people through it, or do you go in?
Well, it's a little better now. Now I can go in. When this first started, I did everything remotely. And then if we needed to install a camera, I'd basically drop it off and try to give them instructions. I mean, a lot of people could figure it out, but I had to give them instructions either by email or trying to get on with Team Viewer so I could get at the computer. But now it's it's a little better, and I can test it. I have my mask. I can go into a home. I don't normally socialize with any of the individuals, so I go right to the computer, do what I have to do, try to use the hand sanitizer, try to stay as clean as I can, and then get out as quick as I can. Which is unfortunate. I really enjoy socializing, especially with our individuals. That's the biggest part of what COVID took away from me for what I do. But
I thought you were going to say, especially like socializing, as long as you could be dancing. I thought that
well,
was.
that's part of socializing.
Yeah.
But
you definitely express joy in through the use of your body in achieving that. So we're kind of at a crossroads here, Kevin. We've been kind of, I don't know what you'd say, treading water. Is it really the right way to think about it? But it's more like just trying to truly understand the lay of the land. What is the funding landscape going to look like? The department made available some monies that were intended to get us through those initial weeks and months of the pandemic that was that left us just alarmed and uncertain. And now that we're kind of seeing with more clarity some of the things that are being talked about, or guidance is being provided about how the reimbursement is going to work, we're gonna have a tough year next year. And yet, when you're thinking about, so we're talking about what sacrifices do we have to make? What are the positions that need to be cut? Do we need to get rid of some of our property? Do we need to get rid of some of our fleet? And there aren't very many good answers, because we don't want to put so much in mothballs that once this is behind us and people are now scrambling to get into programs, that we can't be open quickly and restore some active programming for people that maybe haven't had it the whole time. But at the same time, we want to be consciously thinking about where we're going to be in the future and what kinds of strategic initiatives are in place. It's a long-winded way of saying technology is not something that can be ignored, is it? I mean, no matter how desperate our budget gets, we need to continue to invest in ensuring that we have the best, Wi-Fi access, that we have, the best, equipment for people that they can do their jobs, and they could, do new things with the equipment. What do you see on the horizon from a technical IT perspective for NuPath?
Well, I think that, you asked me about a grade for our readiness for this earlier. I think that we have, fortunately, we should probably get an A on, getting our infrastructure up, because in the 3 years that I've been here, we really changed everything. We moved everything up to the cloud, got rid of a lot of equipment that breaks down, that has issues, those kind of things. That cut a lot of our costs, third-party costs even, way down. And so we really only have, we have content managers, third-party content managers that now are cut down to really minimal work, and saving us a lot of money that way. So we were in good shape that way, and that allowed us to take advantage and to change kind of horses midstream for the direction we were taking to bring up some of the technology that we have that we're using now during COVID. I think that probably remote, I don't want to say learning, but remote programming, those kind of things will probably be a part of what we do going forward. I don't know if they'll be as big a part as what we do now, but I think that those will stay. Certainly, we were working on implementing Teams before the COVID hit, and we were looking at trying to make meetings more, trying to facilitate meetings better, and getting teams to cooperate and work through any of the issues together. I think that'll continue. I think more and more we're the world's getting smaller and smaller, and we're all going to be in the same room, whether it's on a screen or not. And I think that's where we're headed.
Well, we couldn't make these advancements and take these risks and really push ourselves as as employees of the operational side of things, were it not for the support that you bring to the table. You are, almost by classic definition, the very sort of, support staff that we think, about, and that make the best, employees in some ways for the administrative department, to think about what can I do to make people's jobs simpler, easier. The staff are already many times running around from job to job, and if you go to sit down at a computer or fax machine or try to make a phone call and you're having issues, you can't do it, it like works 1 out of 10 times, it could be like the straw that breaks the camel's back. I mean, I can't even tell you how frustrating. The simplest, if technology isn't working and you can't fax the doctor's order to the pharmacy, you may as well have been, like run over by a car. It feels like sometimes, because it's just with the pandemic, it's even more so. And this is just evidence, such good evidence of why and how, people like you working, so, such a dedicated sort of focus on the teams and ensuring they have the tools they need to do their jobs well. That's just an incredible testimony to your sort of ethical view of the world, I guess. And we're just so fortunate to have you on board here and have you here in place for this terrible pandemic. If it weren't for you being there, we'd have like an F- probably. So, but luckily.
I saw a great quote the other day. It said, "Progress is made by lazy people looking for an easier way to do things." That's the approach right there.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah. So not the ambitious innovators that are looking to like improve and change the world forever.
Well, they're ambitious because they want things to be easier, right? So
I don't know that we have lazy managers running the programs, but I can tell you that I'm sure that they appreciate everything you do for them, especially during this past 6 months. It's been.
I just want to mention, you mentioned about me bringing my family to events and how wonderful that is. I just I bring my family to events because I'm proud of working with this company, and I like for them to see what I do. So in my little way to make things work for this company. So.
Well, we're proud of you, and so glad that you're here. Thank you for being a part of our Unity Forum, Kevin Tucker, and thank you for just your tireless support of our teams that feels sometimes like they're thrown to the winds, but we know that you're helping us all connect virtually because you're ensuring that the people have the equipment they need. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Pleasure.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, that was terrific. Now, I was going to mention to Kevin, I should have probably, next week, am I going to say this? Should I say this? Hopefully next week, fingers crossed, you are going to see a different, when you tune in to our town hall and to our, maybe not the town hall, maybe the Unity Forum. We're going to be, you'll be your first taste and your first introduction to what we're calling Newpath Live. And it's going to be, we're going to continue to do, programming like we have been. We think this is important, but it's going to be with a few more surprises, a few more bells and whistles, and a little sleeker than what we currently have. And I'm very much looking forward to it because there's some fun things that you can do with it. So keep your eyes peeled for that. As we go into this weekend, over 200,000 people dead, guys. Honestly, wear your masks. I can't say it enough times. You know that. And if we do everything that we need to do, we got this. We'll get this together, and we will get through this. I know we will. Look how far we've come. It's amazing, and we're gonna get to the other side. Think how much closer we are now to a post-COVID world. Still a ways away, but we're moving in the right direction. All right. Well, thank you all to the panelists that were here today, and to all of you who tuned in and watched. It makes a big difference. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.